All right, George Christensen has just returned from Europe, where he met with exiled Aussie Julian Assange. The Dawson MP has also been at the forefront of the recent National Party leadership spill. He joins me now from our Canberra studio. Good to see you, George. Always great to have the member for Dawson on the show. Labor's zero emissions target, George, by 2050. How do you think that will play out with the good folk of Clermont and Moranbah and Mackay and Serena in your electorate?
I think, as you'd expect, I mean, it's just another sign that Labor haven't learned the lessons of the last election. It's, you know, this is something that will be absolutely devastating to the coal industry, to agriculture, to so many different sectors that actually underpin local jobs throughout North and Central Queensland. So I think it's just another sign that they haven't learnt the lessons of the last election and they're not listening.
George, former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull is said to have a bit in his book about your travel to the Philippines, which of course we know has been well chronicled, certainly in the southern press. How do you think Australians will remember Malcolm Turnbull as a Prime Minister?
Well, look, that's for other people to commentate on how they'll remember Malcolm. I mean, but Malcolm's gone, and you know, so are his ideas, so we thought. Unfortunately, what's happening now is that the Labor Party are picking up on ideas that that he had, like the National Energy Guarantee, and are going to turn that into a de facto carbon tax. So, look, Malcolm's history, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, you've just got back from Europe. You saw Julian Assange, had a meeting with him, with Andrew Wilkie. You referred to the fact that you thought that he was being subjected to psychological torture. What do you think should happen in respect to Julian Assange, George?
Well, I think that ultimately he should be brought home. I mean, look, there's a whole heap of conjecture and debate around Julian Assange and things that he's done over the years and was it reasonable or not. But at the end of the day, he's an Australian citizen languishing in a foreign jail cell, facing a foreign court to be potentially extradited to another foreign nation where he'll spend more time in a foreign jail cell facing another foreign court. I mean, he's an Australian citizen. He's not a British subject to be extradited by Britain, as far as I'm concerned. He's not an American subject to be tried by their courts. He wasn't on American soil when he committed the alleged crime, which really just amounts to publishing the truth. So I'm firmly on Julian Assange's side, and I think he should be brought home.
George, you were involved, well, certainly you played a role in the leadership spill which involved Barnaby Joyce and Michael McCormack. Do you think Barnaby has put the cue in the rack and he won't have another crack, or do you think that the leadership of the National Party is still very much in doubt?
Well, Gleeson, as Barnaby said, you know, it's this place is a democracy. It's the penultimate place of democracy for the nation, and he had a crack. He threw his hat in the ring, and you know, it's widely been canvassed that I backed him, and I did, and Barnaby didn't win. So that's that, and I just take Barnaby at his word. He said now he's going to focus on the people in New England. He's not going to be challenging at any stage, and we're all now behind Michael McCormack. If you undertake an act of democracy like challenging and voting for someone in a party room, then you have to accept the decision of the majority, and I do, and I support Michael McCormack as the Nationals leader.
How do you think he's travelling, McCormack?
Oh, well, look, there's been ups and downs, but I think he's going well. I mean, Michael is the kind of guy that gets things done behind the scenes. He's not so much in your face or a big, larger-than-life character like Barnaby, but he's getting things done. He's overseeing a huge infrastructure rollout. He's overseeing the progress of dam construction and dams like Urana Dam up my way going forward. And he's doing that in the face of opposition from the Queensland Labor government, which has got this this sort of drive against dams. So I think he's going well, and the results will be on the ground come the next election.
George, before we go, I've got to ask you, you're one of the best grassroots politicians I think I've ever seen. Who wins, Palaszczuk or Frecklington on October 31? What are you getting a sense? What's the mood like in central Queensland?
Well, the mood in central and north Queensland is, I think, pretty much against the state government. I mean, people remember the things that they've done. They're not fooled by, you know, all of the glitz and PR that comes out at election times. I think that the LNP is in with a very good chance to pick up quite a number of seats throughout central Queensland and those seats around the Townsville area as well. We've pre-selected some pretty good people up there in Townsville. We've got one of the guys who's one of the head coppers there in in Townsville running for one of the seats, and you know, law and order is a huge issue up there in Townsville, particularly juvenile crime. So I think that we're going to have the runs on the board. We're going to have good candidates, and we'll give them a run for their money. That's for sure.
George Christensen, thank you for joining us tonight on Sky News Across Australia.